So it should be enough to specify just something like this, right? To say, okay, I have these points and these edges, and the points are vertices of the final model, or at least the vertices of the pattern, and then the edges have their fold sense, mountain or valley, and angle. So the dashed lines here, I just use for myself to denote the edges that fold only 90 degrees, not 180. In the pattern that you want to feed Origami Simulator, the color remains the same and the line remains solid, but it's specified, the angle is specified by the transparency level. So the ones that are fully red or fully blue denote folds that go all the way, all 180 degrees. And if the transparency in that SVG file is only half, 50%, then you get a 90-degree angle and so on. But anyway, this is just all I've written a bunch of these little pieces of code to help myself understand models and visualize them. And it's not about, I don't really want to spend time dealing with the UI. So what I'll show you is Python code that you basically type in commands to define these nodes and edges and specify the angles, and then describe how to repeat the pattern to replicate it and to create a unit, and then basically say how many units you want, and it'll generate the pattern for you. So it's all about the least amount of work and not spending time doing things by hand that you don't have to. So anyway, this was probably the first one that I worked out using this code. So I was making sure I reminded myself of the angles of what I actually was doing. And so actually you have 5 different angles that you need to specify for this one. There's 180 degrees in both directions, the valleys and mountains. There's 90 degrees, valleys and mountains. But if you look at the fold, there are also 45-degree angles, like at the corner here or at the corner here. Each of these 4 units has this part that goes in at 45 degrees, right? So you need to be able to specify 45 degrees as well. Luckily, there was only one sense, only the valley folds needed 45 degrees, so I could use this sort of purple dashed line for that in the diagram here. None of this will be relevant for the code. It's just to get you a sense of the problem. So, and again, since I was working this out on paper, I drew the pattern. I said, well, okay, I don't really care about the absolute values of these numbers, these units, but just to fix a coordinate system, I can call this 0.00, this 0.40, and 6, 8, and so on. The scaling factor doesn't really matter because you'll be visualizing it without any units attached. So it's just about getting the relative magnitudes right. And then I sort of made a list of the edges as well. And that looks like a lot for a simple pattern. But once you have that, you can generate a very large foldable file for Origami Simulator. And you don't have to do any work other than saying, well, make me one that's 5 by 5 or make me one that's 10 by 10.